and I had just made a remix, an official remix for Black Eyed Peas, I Got a Feeling, and I didn't have a feeling that I was unable to drop it that night. This is embarrassing. My top 10 biggest DJ fails in this vlog. Hey, what's up? This is Laidback Luke, DJ and producer, and today I'm sharing with you my biggest DJ mistakes ever. And the reason why I'm sharing these is hopefully you'll learn from them. I can't believe I'm actually recording this. Let's get into the vlog. My number 10 is not knowing what to play next. Nothing is more scary than having a full dance floor in front of you and the track is running out. I've had it a couple of times where you see the player flashing and you're about to run out, and just within the last second I'm able to mix in a track. Has there ever been silence? Yeah, in a couple of occasions there has been a really painful silence. What often helps though is if you have a third player, just put a track on there for emergencies so that when you run out, you're just able to hit play on that player and you're good to go. But if anything else, it's actually really good to just try and learn and practice being able to choose tracks quickly or work with hotkeys. So for me, almost every track I program hotkeys and I'm always able to switch back to the drop and give myself a couple of minutes of extra time to try and find the right track to play next. My number 9 is arriving too late at the show, and in real life I'm always 15 minutes late. Laidback Luke. And at a certain point in the beginning of my career, this actually became later and later when it came to shows. And it's a no-go, right? Because you're getting paid to play, you have a contract in place and everything. It says you're playing from 1 till 3 and you just can't show up at like 1:15 or 1:30, right? So pretty soon when that happened a couple of times, I said to myself, okay, I'll try and be there an hour before I go on. And even an hour before I go on, I tend to be late. I tend to be about 45 minutes before I go on, or maybe even 30 minutes before I go on. But in that case, it's okay because it's still before the time that's in your contract. My number 8 is a really embarrassing one. It's one where I was playing the club and I didn't realize the reputation this club had. This club was usually known to be an underground club or even a techno club, and they had booked me and I was playing my EDM set, and I had just made a remix, an official remix for Black Eyed Peas, I Got a Feeling, and I didn't have a feeling that I was unable to drop it that night. So I was playing my set. I knew they were a little bit more underground, the crowd, but I wanted to test out my new official remix, and so I did. And the first melodies of this huge Black Eyed Peas song come on, and people start leaving the floor immediately. And that hurts. So it can be of help researching who played there before, what they play usually in that club. Try and be able to know what kind of crowd is coming, especially if you're a little more unknown, so that you won't make the same mistake that I did and play a super commercial track in an underground club. I am super curious about your DJ fails as well. Make sure to leave them down in the comments below so we can look at it, laugh at it, and maybe learn from it. My number 7 here. Volume in a club is essential, and especially if the DJ before you is redlining. How do you take that volume and energy and follow up with that? Well, the biggest mistake to make there is to go even more into the red or go even more into the limiter. And there was a time I actually didn't realize this, but if you befriend the sound guy or just be friendly to the sound people, then you have a really good shot at overtaking the DJ before you, not putting the mixer in the red, and coming out amazingly. When I found out you couldn't actually redline even more, but you just had to have a talk with the sound guy and say, hey, listen, the DJ before me is redlining a ton, and is there a possibility we can bring the volume back and that you put the volume up a little more on the house speakers? And usually when you ask it friendly to the sound guy as well, they'll be excited to do this actually, because the sound, when you pull it back to the green, becomes way more dynamic, becomes way more punchy, and you'll get a clean and louder sound than the guy that's redlining and doesn't even speak to the sound guy. Oh boy, if you like hearing all of these embarrassing stories, and if you think it'll help you, make sure to leave me a like right now, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, and let's get back to it. My number 6 is a tough one to mention as well because I am actually really ashamed of this. My number 6 is playing the track of the DJ that comes on after you. And in my case, this was in Canada, this was in Toronto, and I was playing a Hardwell track while Hardwell was on after me. Now granted, this was kind of like a bootleg or a mashup version that went into a Hardwell drop, and I kind of forgot about that. So I was playing the mashup, and that drop that followed, it hit, and I was like, oh no, this is a Hardwell drop. Luckily, I'm able to mix fast, and so within 8 bars I mixed it out. But Hardwell, who actually was watching me or was hearing me out in the dressing rooms or something, he had heard it. And when he came into the DJ booth, he had a little conversation with my manager about this because I was still DJing. And she was like, oh, we're so sorry, and Luke didn't mean for this to happen. And Hardwell said, thankfully, oh, are you crazy? It's no problem. I know it's Luke. I know this is a little accident. And he was all cool about it. But man. So this is a no-go for you who are starting out. Do not play the track of the DJ that's after you. Do not play those tracks, just leave it for them. And don't embarrass yourself. Don't go anywhere just yet, because in this vlog I have a bonus as well. After you hear all of my embarrassing stories, I'm actually going to tell you how to deal and cope with these screw-ups. Golden tip at the end of the vlog, so make sure you stay tuned. My number 5, it isn't getting any better here, is leaving the filter or the bass EQ out when the drop hits. You had just mixed in your new track and it goes into a huge build-up, and it's like, yeah, you want to get the crowd riled up, and I always do this before the beat comes to take it next level. And then the drop comes and everyone's ready, and it comes in and it sounds like the thinnest drop ever because there's no low end in the system. And it's all due to forgetting to put the filter back or forgetting to put the bass EQ back. And it happens. It still happens. What to do about it? I would not say, oh, don't take the bass out or anything. It's something that DJs do. You know, all this flea picking that DJs do, that's all part of it. It's just a matter of keeping an eye out and me warning you about this because it happens to me still. If you're enjoying this info I'm giving to you, I have an online DJ course that will help you not make these mistakes. It's an online DJ course I did with digitaldjtips.com. Everything you want to learn and know about DJing is in that course, so if you're interested, make sure to check the link down below. More embarrassing moments. Here we go. Number 4, on the way to tragedy, to an inevitable silent blackout. And mind you, I don't play with a laptop, so I had this in the beginning of my international tours. For a moment I switched out to Tractor, and I needed to set up my laptop for that, and there was at least 2 times I forgot to bring my charger. And while you are playing, you're seeing your battery diminish, and oh, it's the scariest thing. Did it ever bomb on me? It might have. This is a long time ago. But obviously something you don't want when you're DJing off of your laptop. It could be Serato as well, that your laptop dies mid-set, right? Very, very painful. As we get more and more painful at the ending of the vlog, I have 3 points left as we count down to the number 1. Number 3, a very obvious one that happens to everyone. Loading the wrong track into the wrong player or ejecting the wrong track from the player. And then that silence. Super painful. Now I'm very thankful that when I load a track into my DJ Pro AI app, that it asks me sometimes if I want to load it onto deck number 1 and deck number 2, and then I'll just need to think, which deck am I playing from again? Choosing the right number helps. Sorry, just to intervene here, on some systems there is also a player lock. When the track is playing, it's locked so you can't eject it. Super helpful. But I guess the same with the bass EQ as well. It is always a matter of trying to remember where you're at in the mix and what you're doing, which track is playing from what channel, for you to be able to not eject the wrong track. As we count down the 2 last points, and I'm super excited to share my bonus with you as well after point number 1, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But my number 2 happened this summer, and only at the biggest festival in the world. At Tomorrowland, I was wearing a trendy t-shirt. It's a button-down shirt, but I had it open. It was super hot. I was playing the main stage and we were in a vibe on the main stage and everything was going great. And all of a sudden a gust of wind came and there was no sound anymore. Very, very painful. Within a split second I had found out what happened. My crossfader had moved out to the left and there was no sound coming out of the right channel, and this was due to my trendy shirt being open and the wind blew it up against the crossfader. Yeah. Sometimes these things are freak accidents as well, something you can't anticipate, but let me tell you this, if you're ever gonna play Tomorrowland main stage, make sure you button your shirt. My number one fail in all of my DJ history is one I am truly not proud of. Being too drunk to remember the last track you played. And in the beginning of my career, or around the half of my career, it is no secret that I started drinking more and more during shows. It's one of the reasons why I don't drink during shows anymore. And it got that bad at a certain point. I remember this was probably right before I actually quit drinking. I remember being on a bender so hard that I was DJing and I probably played the same track 3 times in my set because for the life of me I couldn't remember what track I had played 5 minutes before. Literally just a black void of I have no clue what I played. I think I'm mixing all right. I'm having a party, I'm into it, but honestly I have no clue what I'm doing anymore. And I remember finishing that show and the crowd had dispersed and walked away a little and the music got turned off, and I remember just 3 people being on the dance floor and I got the slow clap. And it was then that I decided to not do benders anymore, and especially if you're getting paid good money to DJ at these shows, and super embarrassing. Alright, my bonus golden tip right here for whenever you screw up during a set, it doesn't matter what happens, whenever something goes wrong in your set, don't freak out and don't let the crowd know you are freaking out. On a stage, while, you know, an X amount of people is looking at you, you should never be like, oh, what's happening now? Be super angry and like start cussing at people because you're on a stage. People are looking at you. Even though you lose control, it would be better to not let people know you're losing control. Instead, try and stay calm, breathe for a moment, have a recap as to what is going on. Maybe just calmly walk off and walk to the sound guy and not yell at him, because remember, he needs to be your friend. Whatever mistake happens, just make sure you still look like you have it under control. And speaking of have it under control, if you really want to dive into what plays into a DJ's head while touring, make sure to check out my mental health diving into a DJ's mind vlog right over here. If you're interested in knowing how to control a crowd, how to watch the crowd, and how to pick the right tracks and watch the energy, make sure to watch this vlog right here on how to steer a crowd as well. All of this will absolutely be of help to your shows. Make sure to hit me with a like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I will catch you back here for the next one. Until then, L's up.